Hey everyone, Shiv here. Alright, so today we're going to talk about something that has a lot of people upset. And it's had people upset for quite some time now. And people have been asking questions, why is this allowed? Why, what the hell's going on? How do you not see that this is broken? And, they've been directing a lot of this anger at the developers, and the developers have been very vague in their responses or elusive. So, yeah, if you haven't figured it out, that's right, we're talking about...
Everyone, get in here!
Yes, everybody's favorite fucking dwarfs, the Grim Patron. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Grim Patron, on its own, perfectly fucking fine. I actually will say that this card is perfectly fine on its own. Even with Warsong Commander, this card is fine. I have no problem for what it does with this, alright? I could cite many other examples that are very similar, alright? But where things get really wonky is with another card in this deck. Actually, two other cards, but we're going to focus on this one here. And it's this motherfucker, the Frothing Berserker. Alright. So, Frothing Berserker, as you can see, has to attack. And with combination of Warsong Commander, because if you play it after the Warsong Commander is out, because of the way Warsong Commander works, he gets a charge, which will allow you to then buff him to insane amounts of damage. So you get two of these guys down because of a reduction with Emperor Thurzan. Yay, Emperor Thurzan, yet again, fucking everything up. Always dwarfs fucking everything up. Don't you find that kind of funny? You end up getting a scenario to where, yeah, you can do 50, 60, 70 damage. 77 as seen in the Road to BlizzCon EU. Yeah, that qualifier, 77 damage was done in one burst turn. This has made a lot of people, pros, regular players, just guys who watch the stuff, really question, how the fuck is this balanced? How the fuck is this fair? And you know what? It's a very fair question. Alright? It really is a fair question. One that people have been asking for quite a bit. And the developers, like Ben Brode, have had many opportunities to address this. And have never really given a good answer. The reason is they don't have a good answer. Now, I'm not saying that to basically make fun of them, and I'm not trying to call them out on the fact that this is kind of a problem that you really should have thought about before releasing this bullshit. Alright? I'm not saying that at all. Even though that historically, when they've released new content and saw that the way it would interact with old content might be somewhat problematic, so they did a few little changes here just to ease that in. Flare going up 1 mana, thus, kind of reducing some exploitive stuff you could do with Gazlo and Hunter, and a couple other things. Alright, so, mind you, that's a whole different topic of flare value, which was pretty damn good to begin with. Now it's kind of meh, but still. So, yeah. They had a lot of opportunities here to really look at things and actually take some preventative measure steps before introducing some content to ensure that these wouldn't be a problem. But they didn't, which is very strange, and a lot of people are very upset about, because they did it before, they've did it with other things, so why not here? Before they released GVG, they nerfed the shit out of Gadgetzan Auctioneer, because people would get too much value off spare parts. And if you haven't realized something, Rogue plus Mechs for a time was actually a really solid deck. Now imagine what would happen, right, with all the spare parts, and you throw in Gadgetzan Auctioneer for the amount it was. The card draw mechanic would be just insane. It would be great value. Oh wait a minute, what about Battle Rage? This question has gotten pondered and asked several times. How is that value not exceeding that of Gadgetzan Auctioneer? Why hasn't that also been looked at? It probably has been looked at, but I mean, really, what can you do without completely breaking the card? I don't know, maybe take it up to 4 mana. Or 3 at least, shit. So, there are a lot of issues within the Grim Patron deck, but I think the biggest one revolves around how Warsong Commander interacts with Frothing Berserker. So, right now, as it stands, this is a summon bonus. As long as it's on the field, whatever you summon automatically gets a bonus. Long as it's within a certain parameter. Okay? I'm having a really hard time of thinking of any card that has something similar to that, short of Murloc. Alright? But it doesn't give a bonus to the cards coming in. It only gives a bonus to itself. Alright? There are very few cards out there that give a bonus to a specific type or a specific set within a minion base, just as long as it hits those requirements. I mean, it's literally a free enhancement for nothing. And as we've already seen, charge is a huge problem in this game. There's literally nothing that stops it. Alright? And the options that are readily available, unfortunately, because the way the Grim Patron works, are not always good. So, this interaction needs to change. Alright? Instead, Warsong Commander needs to be changed to something more of an aura buff, similar to the way Stormwind Knight works. Stormwind Knight is a 7-mana 6/6 that gives a +1/+1 to all minions on the board, as long as it remains there. Now, if you kill Stormwind Knight, or if Stormwind Knight dies, that bonus goes away. This is my suggestion for Warsong Commander. Now, will this solve the Frothing Berserker issue? Nope, it will not. Step 2. Minions will have charge as long as they are 3 or less. The moment they exceed 3, they lose the charge. There is some precedent to that. Alright? And in all honesty, I think this is where you have to go. Because if the original Molten Giant combo deck was too powerful, okay, so you literally just replace Molten Giants with Frothing Berserkers. You throw in a couple other little nifty tools to ensure that they get up to where they have. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, literally, the Frothing Berserkers have become the Molten Giants of this meta set. And if you didn't like how they were interacting before, to where people could do 32 damage, 24 damage with that easily, 32. Yeah, they could actually get 32 damage with that. Then why are you allowing 77 plus damage to go through? Why is that somehow okay? It's still the same base mechanics that are allowing this to happen. They've just bypassed your decision-making process. Actually, no, you gave them the tools to bypass it if you really want to be accurate here. So, I find it really hard to understand why they would allow this to happen, especially when you look at, like, OTK Hunter. They had a huge problem with that. They had a huge problem with the draw mechanic that Sunshine Hunter had, so they fucking nerfed the shit out of that, even though your opponents could actually dictate how many cards you could get. Here, you have no way of dictating shit. Alright? Seriously. So yeah, Battle Rage ends up drawing huge amounts of cards, but yet, that's a single card combo, where the other one was a 2-card combo. So, it makes you really wonder. Then you got Freeze Mage. Freeze Mage was deemed unfun because it locked down boards and people couldn't really play around it. It was so boring. The only class that could actually beat it was freaking Hunter. Like the OTK Hunter, the reason why it was so loved was because it stopped Freeze Mage. And then what happened when they nerfed OTK Hunter to where it no longer exists? Freeze Mage became a huge problem, and lo and behold, they end up having to nerf that. Funny how meta works. Then there's Miracle Rogue. Miracle Rogue was deemed to have too good of card draw engine. Was deemed to be able to do too much damage. They've nerfed that deck twice now. And pretty much damn near killed it outright, with the exception of Oil Rogue, which is a lot less consistent than Miracle Rogue was. But one of the main issues that I think a lot of people tend to have with how Blizzard's handling the whole Grim Patron aspect and how that deck works is the fact that other times when new content came out, they changed older content in order to make sure that certain interactions could not be exploited. Give you a prime example here. Gadgetzan Auctioneer was changed from 5 mana to 6. This way it would disincentivize some really cheap card draw mechanics based off spare parts because they're spells in all intents and purposes. Flare was increased in cost. Now some argue, oh well, that was whatever. But to be truthfully honest, Mech Hunter could have still been viable if Flare had stayed there. And the reason why I say that is because Gazlo, Flare, Arcane Shot, Tracking, you could have actually gotten a lot of mechs, which then Metal Tooth Leaper gets a huge amount of value. But instead, they lessened that to where they had less options. Unless they want to go full mech, and then, nobody's ever truly made that work yet, because you sacrifice the ability of doing 5 damage to control board. Sad but true. Alright. But they've taken these steps before. We've seen this happen with Leroy Jenkins. That got bumped up in mana costs. Just the way things are. Eaglehorn Bow got itself changed as well when new secrets were coming out. Alright, so yes. They have taken these steps in order to ensure that there wouldn't be too many exploitive things happening. But yet they did not take this when it came to Grim Patron. And they knew that this was the type of deck that was going to be played. They showcased this style of play when they were showing us BRM cards. They did. They actually showcased this style of play. So to say that they didn't foresee it actually getting to this point, somebody should have, because you built a deck based around it. But yet that was okay. But historically, other things weren't. Do you see the problem here? Now, Ben, I'm very critical of you a lot of times, and yeah, I know I blame you here, but in all honesty, you really need to start, stepping up on this. It took you 7 months to deal with Undertaker. We're about hitting that now. Or soon. For now, the Grim Patron. Warsong Commander's been around since the set, and has already been changed slightly in order to not allow Giants to benefit off of it. Alright? So, you're not changing any newer content. You're actually resolving an older conflict issue with newer content. You've already done this before, and it made perfect sense. So why is it so difficult for you guys to make this now? I mean, this should be pretty much old hat for you guys at this point. It really should. Nobody's going to argue that Grim Patron is not the most powerful deck. You ask anybody, they'll say, hey, yeah, it's Grim Patron. You talk to any pros, like, hey, what are the 3 decks you're going to bring? First one they say is Patron. 9 times out of 10 is Patron. And then it's either, Druid or Warlock. Sometimes Paladin. Makes up that second slot. And then third is pretty much Bonanza. So, yeah, the fact that that is that popular should really tell you something. Now, on ladder, it has fallen out of favor a bit because people want to play around with some of this newer content that's out there. And you know what? God bless them. I love you. But the fact is, Patron's still going to exist. Patron, as it is now, actually disincentivizes any creativity with newer sets that came out. You gave us a lot of token generation cards and really nifty stuff that unfortunately feeds right into Patron. It's like kindling for it. So, yeah. Kind of a problem there. Now again, Patron is not a problem itself. Grim Patron is not the problem. Interaction between Warsong Commander, Frothing Berserker, and Battle Rage itself. Those are your real problems right there. And it's something you really need to look at. And I know you guys say you're always keeping an eye on it and this, that, and the other. If all you're going to go off is statistical numbers, that's not always the greatest thing there. Statistical numbers don't really answer the question, is this fun to play against? As was your reasoning behind your change to Freeze Mage. You said it was unfun mechanic. Well, Ben, Frothing Berserker being able to do 77 damage is an unfun mechanic. Alright, so that's my 2 cents on this. Please, for the love of God, Ben, if you ever watch this video, man, just do something about it. It's getting to the point of toxicity right now. And, I mean, I love this game. I've been playing this game now for almost 3 years. Alright? But I'm so sick of seeing Patron now. This actually, I feel, is worse than freaking Undertaker ever was. Alright? And with that, that's all for this video. So, again, if you like these videos, please like, subscribe. If you got any comments, you agree with what I say, disagree with me, hey, let me know. I love reading the stuff, and I love getting back with you guys. Till next time, this is Shiv saying...
Everyone, get in here!
Oh, no, everybody can get the fuck out is what they can do. Yeah, that's right. All right, guys, stay safe, have fun, and have yourself a wonderful weekend. Peace.